And after one of the another Oscar Nia Jax segment, we get Shayna Baszler, who I'm a big fan of because I saw a lot of her indie stuff, and she's kept that same look. I was so happy when they let her keep that freaking terrifying look that she's got. She really looks like a monster, and in spite of booking, she still comes across that way. And she's going to take on Natalya in a match that's inexplicably a submission match, which again I think is really, again, just another stip match. The theme of this Raw is nothing really matters. And again, you know, you have a stip match to have a stip match, where Natalya is clearly playing into Shayna Baszler's hands, which seems really weird. You'd think you would want to avoid. Again, as Shayna Baszler, like, even if they did a thing where Natalya's like, we know the only way you can win is by submission. You can't, you know, I'm going to strike. I don't know. Like, something that isn't just a submission match to have a submission match, because in the end of the day, it didn't really matter because this was a glorified squash. So why set a stipulation at all? Why not just have a fucking match? It's weird. All right, so Shayna Baszler wins quickly. Rear naked choke. Which again, a rear naked choke is a choke out. Natalya's upset, and so apparently this is a thing that she's done before. So they're setting up for the Kevin Owens show. Nobody checks on Natalya. Again, there's this. It's hard for us to believe that any of this shit is real when somebody's hurt and nobody is there to help them or comfort them or basically make sure they're okay. If it's supposed to be a sport in any way, shape, or form, and you can say, oh, it's sports entertainment. No, but you would still check on people, right? But nobody does, and so she's alone, and they're setting up the Kevin Owens set, and so she just trashes it. And I guess that's what a heel turn is. You trash stuff. I'm going to go on about this a little bit. How much I hated it. Because then you get... So she's trashing the thing. Then you go to Garza and Theory, and they show where they were arguing. And then they cut to them this week, and they're still arguing and standing in the same positions with different clothes. So the impression that I got, I jokingly said to people I was texting with, so they've been arguing for a week? Because that's the impression that they're giving. And again, you're saying, well, of course they weren't arguing all, but that's the story that they're telling us by doing these smash cuts. And for example, like Sting would wrestle Vampiro in the waning days of WCW when shit was just so badly done, right? And so Sting is covered in blood from a thing that happens. And then he shows up on next week's show or after the pay-per-view or whatever, and he's still covered in blood, and it's fucking ludicrous, right? I'm like, so he didn't shower the time between the blood happened and now? That's the impression that they're giving with having them argue in the exact, standing in the same positions as they were the week before. Do you see that? Again, it's just it seems like a minor thing, but it's not, because it shows that there's a lack of writing, a lack of editing, a lack of somebody who's making decisions that make sense. Yeah, and again, this is smashed into the Natalya thing. So now we go to the Kevin Owens show because, you know, Austen Theory and Garza and Zelina and all of them are going to be guests. But the set's still trashed, which again, I know you're saying, so what? Kevin Owens has to see this trash set. Can't they have people in the midst of cleaning it up? Isn't that what would really happen? Do we really believe that Vince McMahon would produce a product and put it on television where a set was trashed? The answer to all these things is no. They should be in the midst of fixing it up. And then Kevin Owens shows up and goes like, oh, fuck, she trashed my fucking set. So we can continue to put that thing over, but have things work logically. I know I keep saying that phrase and you're probably getting annoyed with it, but you shouldn't be, because it starts with logic. Because with logic, You build trust with your, oh my God, this is going to be one of the most important fucking things I say or ever say about wrestling. You start with logic because that builds trust. With trust, you can establish an emotional connection. With emotional connection, you create true loyalty and interest in what you're doing, and everything is amplified. You make more money, you get a bigger audience, and people are excited about your product instead of watching it out of fucking habit. So now they're on the talk show with Kevin Owens. And again, one of these things that I thought actually worked. Apollo Crews comes down and attacks, right? And the attack looks awesome. Apollo Crews is the most fired up guy on this whole fucking show, which really says wonders for him and separates him from the look of Bobby Lashley. And again, I think you want to do that as much as you can. Oh, Steve, are you saying all black guys look alike? No. But you're lying to yourself if you're saying that at times you don't mentally confuse Apollo Crews with Lashley. So they're having Apollo Crews grow a beard. Smart. They're having him do a different kind of thing than Lashley. Smart. But here's what's not smart. They immediately go to a fucking commercial when we're having all this fucking heat going on, and it's awesome. How should they have done? And then we come back and there's a tag match with Apollo Crews and Kevin Owens against Zelina's crew. If the goal was to hook and drag us through the commercial, they failed. What they should have done is you have this fucking great heat segment. Apollo Crews is swinging away like wild. Kevin Owens jumps in. They get separated. They scream about, let's have a tag match. And then you go to commercial, and then you come back and they're having a tag match, and you're not having to reset. They're constantly doing this thing where they get into something awesome, and then they cut it off, and that's how it feels. They cut it off with the fucking commercial. And then you come back, and you're having to, like, mentally go like, oh, wait, what's this? What's happening? What's going on? There's nothing that drags you through the commercial and makes you want to engage and keep with it. And it's such a fucking failure. So Apollo Crews, they let shine in this thing, which is, again, another logical decision that they've made. They beat down Austen Theory, right? Which, again, I really like that they beat down Austen Theory. But my fear was, oh no, now they're going to have Austen Theory against these guys in a feud, and I'm just not interested in seeing it. But they managed to get out of that. But I would say overall this segment really worked. It made Apollo Crews look great. It gave Kevin Owens something to do, and it got rid of Austen Theory in a logical way, because in the match, it was his miscue that cost them the match. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. No doubt about it. I mean, I would just say that cut to commercial when Apollo Crews was beating the fuck out of him was the only thing that they did absolutely wrong. And they probably lost people in that commercial who didn't get to see the other logical stuff they did that really, really worked. And they lost people who could have seen Austen Theory getting kicked out of that group that didn't need to miss that segment and probably would have appreciated it.